we'll each choose ourselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Is this Lawrence's first live broadcast?
do you want to run into the grid order? Because I haven't got a clue.
That's for a while.
Yeah.
We may have done a small one before.
Lawrence, do you need makeup?
Always. This is me made up. This is as good as it gets.
You can get someone in here to come spray paint you.
Yeah, can you get
You get to talk. You get to talk.
So here we are at Silverstone for the final of the GT Academy 2016. It is a chilly but mostly dry day on the international circuit. I'm joined here by Lawrence, who has got the grid order and has been following the Academy all the way to this point.
Since 2008, in fact, yeah.
Yeah, since the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So grid order we have in pole position, and this was decided not by their times on the track, but by a previous challenge. We have in pole position Mexico, second place North Africa, third place Thailand, fourth place Indonesia, then Philippines, and starting last and possibly the quickest team actually, Australia, starting at the back of the grid. So should make some exciting racing.
Now Australia, in that previous challenge which was held at Northampton International Raceway a few days ago, Australia were really unlucky not to get that pole position. They had a car problem, it's put them to the back of the grid, but they've really got some strength and really some good attitude to want to fight back to the front. Now, in case you're wondering what's going on track at the moment, you can probably see you've got the cars going round to the grid at the moment. The girls are there waiting with the flags. You can see the wind is really blowing, and that is going to catch out some of these guys, I think, because the gusts you get here at Silverstone can make a little bit of a difference when you're right on the limit, can't they?
Yeah, especially down the back straight, down into Stowe Corner. There's a bit of a side wind down there, and of course with the temperatures being lower, it does take a little bit longer for the tyres to come up to temperature, and the cars haven't been out for a while, so they will be going out on cold tyres. So that first lap could be quite interesting.
And I think it was Abu Dhabi last year, the first lap, or one of the very early laps, we saw someone make a mistake early on. But one thing that's slightly different with this year's final race is this isn't a one-driver race, is it?
No, this is the first for GT Academy. Of course, normally at this point there's just one driver from each team battling it out for the prize, but the prize ultimately is an endurance racing prize, and of course in endurance racing there's more than one driver in a team, so we're reflecting that in the race this year. And we've got the two best drivers from each country, the two that have survived all the challenges and made it through to this point, and they're going to race in an endurance, relative endurance race for GT Academy. It's going to be 16 laps. And there's a strategy call to be made by the team mentors about who drives when and for how long. There's a pit window that's going to be open from lap 4 until lap 12, and they can pit at any point and swap drivers at any point during that time. And as with other 1 minute to make sure that they change drivers safely before going back out again. Of course, we need to remember this is the first race for all of these drivers. They've never done a race at all, so it's all brand new to them. And then the winner will be the winner, or the winning country will be the winner. Now,
this is not just a race for show, a demo run. We're sitting here in the race control building at Silverstone. Now, normally when I'm here, and I've been here in the past, I'm usually getting ticked off for some on-track violation. But what we're here now, we're sitting behind the clerk of the course, Bernie Cottrell from the BRSCC. This is a real MSA licensed race, isn't it? And these guys have now got MSA competition licenses.
Yeah, so they've been through their licence test, both theory and practical, earlier in the week. And as you say, this is a full-on race meeting, run as any race meeting would be. We've got all the clerks of the course and the marshals and the safety. They've signed on, they've briefed, they've done their qualification practice, their 3 minimum time laps that they had to do. So it is as per a normal race, and it's a massively daunting thing for anyone. But 8 days ago, these guys hadn't even been to a racetrack, and now they're about to start their first race on an F1 Grand Prix venue. So pretty intimidating.
And for those who aren't familiar, this is the Silverstone International Circuit, so it's about 2/3 of the full Formula 1 lap, but rather than taking in the old national circuit section down by where the old start-finish area was, they loop back at the sort of arrowhead section and come back onto the hangar straight there, and so it's a shorter lap, much shorter lap, but in the cars they're using, it's quite a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's arguably the best part of the Grand Prix circuit, I would say. Some fantastic corners in there. So very challenging, definitely places where you can overtake as well, which is what we want to see, a bit of racing, and see if Australia can make their way through the pack. It's a challenging track. Really enjoyable track for anyone that's been around it. I'm sure they'll agree with me. And generally provides good racing. Tricky first corner as well. We've had some incidents there in the past. We had a couple of years ago, 3 cars taken out on that first corner. Hopefully we don't have that this year, but with it being the first race, first standing start that any of these guys will ever have done, which is intimidating in itself. So anything could happen.
Now, one of the issues you hear at this track, and we've been hearing in a lot of other race series around this time, is about track limits. Now, I know you mentioned the first corner and some of the other corners, and we've got the race stewards and the clerks of the course in front of us. How are track limits going to be enforced in this race? Are they going to be enforced, or is it going to be a bit of a free-for-all?
Bernard's putting his hands over his eyes. Hear no evil, see no evil.
It will be interesting to see what is considered to be an excessive track limits thing in this race. Now, we talked a little bit about the pit stops. Now, the pit crews, they're not normal pit crews. This isn't RJN or JRM or one of the other regular teams. It's not Condo, is it? It's not one of the teams. Who are the pit crew? Who are the mechanics?
The pit crew are the guys that applied and started the competition, started the week, but haven't made it this far. So they are what's affectionately known as the evictees, and they're going to be helping, or hopefully helping, their fellow countrymen to take the glory. Now, hopefully, there's no sour grapes, and the drivers haven't peed their teammates off, and they are going to genuinely help them. But yeah, they are there. Different role for each of them. One's on the lollipop, one's doing the belts, one's on the cans coordinating, and one's on the pit board. So it is a proper team country effort, country v country, to try and take the glory. So they've been training, they've been practicing. We've had some RGN guys giving them some tips, and we've had Rob Bath giving them some tips. So hopefully they're pretty well drilled. They had an hour and a half of drilling that earlier today, and watching them in qualifying, they're pretty slick actually. So hopefully they'll keep that up.
I've seen some of the mentors. Each team's got a different mentor in the process, and I saw Chio, the GT500 Super GT driver, who is mentoring the Australian team, modifying the team's pit board to remind the driver to put it into first gear.
Yeah.
Little tips like that, and Ricardo Sanchez has been getting very competitive with the Mexican team about trying to get them to the front. He thinks they're going to win.
Well, everyone here, the mentors, they've got team managers, the instructors. We're all racers, and so anyone that's raced knows you race at everything, don't you? And you want to win at everything. So that's no different for those guys. So they're even though they're not in the car, they're trying to push the limits and bring their team home first. So there's a lot of competition out there on and off the track.
It's all the unfair advantages they're looking for, and I'm just looking down to the grid. At the moment, I mean, what are they going through? The guys are in the car for the first time. They're sitting on the grid with the girls standing with the flags and the guys around them. But what are they actually doing at the moment? Because it's just filming at the moment, I think. But it's going to be real nerves now. How are they going to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking enough, isn't it? Starting your first race on a F1 venue track, but they've got cameras stuck in their face. They're being asked questions, and people looking at them, and they've got a lot to deal with. And of course, GT Academy is a TV show as well as a talent competition, and they have to put up with all of that. But that is, when racing, you have to deal with PR and media and all the other things other than just driving the car quickly. So it's a good baptism for them. But fairly shortly, it will hand over to the race control here, and Bernard and his team, and that will then become a normal race meeting, and we'll have the 5-minute board, 3-minute board, and so on. And then they'll do their green flag lap, and then they'll form up and take the lights ready to start the race.
Now, standing start. Now, I know they've got lots of laps in, and they've been driving all sorts of different cars in the process of the race camp this week. But standing start isn't just. I don't think they've done any practices at standing starts, have they?
They had a little bit earlier today, but only a little bit. And they've done bits and pieces, as you say, in the different activities. But when anyone that's raced will know, when you're on the grid, the nerves are going, your left foot's sort of jumping about a bit, and all of that kicks in. And like Martin Brunner says, look, but don't stare at the lights. You've got a lot to deal with, and then control the wheel spin as you pull away, and then grab the gear without missing it. There's a lot for them to take in. There's a lot of opportunity to make a mistake, and the one that keeps their head the best will be in the first corner first, I would say.
Well, looking down on the starting grid at the moment, I can see the grid being cleared, those flags being held by those, I must say, rather chilly-looking girls.
They're thermal suits.
They're thermal suits to keep them nice and warm, apparently. They've got those hot piping in, apparently. But they're looking rather chilly down there on the grid. It's all going to be cleared, apart from the girls and the cars, any moment. And then the girls, well, I'm sure, will be paraded off after that point, and that will be the green flag. And the boards you mentioned, which is standard practice in racing, you have is it 3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
And if it's
30 seconds.
And if it's 750 Motor Club or Silverstone time, you
They
get
are
3
not
minutes, 2
real
minutes, 30
minutes,
seconds.
Yeah, they are
You're
different,
off. Yeah.
different minutes.
Yeah, and that is the grid cleared. The girls have now paraded off, so to speak, or they're parading through the gate. I can see just out of the window at the moment, and when that gate is swung shut and the pit lane, which is also currently occupied by a Formula 1 car and a DTM car for another.
Yeah, they got a company today.
Yeah. They've had some Formula 1, they had some GT3 running, the full works NISMO
setup, yeah.
setup is here with RJN as well running these cars as well as the GT3 car, and there's a new or refreshed Nissan sports car in the pit lane, which I'm sure we'll hear about later on in another event.
Yeah, some bit of kit that.
Is a worth piece of kit to see. So, will they get the green flag any moment? I think they will. I'm looking around.
So you can see one of the boards is up.
And that will be the number 3. Let's see how quickly that minute lasts.
I think apparently we are on real minutes.
Real minutes? This is definitely a BRSCC
Yeah,
race
exactly.
meeting then, yeah. It's not 750
Very
Motor
proper
Club.
and above board.
No, there's the next board. That wasn't a minute, was it?
No.
That wasn't a minute. That definitely wasn't a minute. So we will see, and then they will go around. Now, when you're on a green flag lap, the real idea of it is to look at all the marshals' posts because they're waving the green flag to show you where to look for when, you know, trouble happens, yellows come out, or the Battenbergs or anything like that, or the meatball flag. All of these funny names are all different names for things and maladies that can happen in the race. The reality is that they're not looking at that at all.
No, they're just trying to keep their nerves in check, trying to get a bit of temperature into the tyres as they go around and into the brakes, and just get a feel for the cars.
Now, it's interesting to see, Australia was very slow to leave the grid, made himself a bit of space, and he's just been weaving the car around, getting that heat in the brakes and the tyres, and it looks like someone's taught him how to warm tyres up properly, and that's not something that's normally taught.
No, well, you've got Chio mentoring that team, obviously, so he knows a bit, and then we've got Baz Award, who's one of our more competitive instructors, who's been looking after them, and you know, they have been thinking very strategically about everything. Even within qualifying, they were pushing on, trying to gain some advantage. So, yeah, I'm confident they will be making it through the pack fairly quickly.
Now, as the cars head down the hangar straight, this is the really. I've done this, and you've done this, but when you do it for the very first time, you must really be beginning to feel that. What am I going to do?
It's a surreal experience, isn't it? It's a bit out of bodily in some ways. They will be trying to keep themselves together and trying to keep it calm, but it is the first race, and you know, some will be handling it better than others.
Well, the cars are just exiting the Vale at the moment, and that is one of the final corners on this Silverstone International Circuit, and coming round to take pole position
Is Enrique.
It's Enrique from Mexico.
From Mexico.
Yeah, that is the car with the green highlights on it.
The fastest taxi driver in Mexico. That's his job back home. He is a professional driver, but not a professional racing driver.
But look, we've got the first 2 cars, and there's no sign of the car in third position.
Mind games, do you think?
Yeah, that's good practice. Now, it's not like Formula 1 where the temperatures build up a bit too high and you're going to really screw the car up and cause problems with your clutch. That's not going to happen. But I still don't see the car in third position, actually. Now, where is it? And we've lost sight of the grid momentarily, but there is still only 2 cars sitting on the starting grid.
Bit of a worry.
So there were more cars there out through the Vale, but they are still coming around. Now, where are they? I'm just looking across on all of our screens to pick up the rest of the field. We've got 6 cars in this race.
So
now,
we've
there
got
they
Mexico
are.
and North Africa on the grid. So North Africa, we've got Hassan, 23-year-old student.
Very aggressive he was in one of the other events, wasn't he?
Yeah, they've been pushing on those boys. Yeah, he's done a lot on track before. He did some stuff at, he got quite far at Michelin in Indonesia. So Thailand, we've got Ning Nong starting first. That's his nickname that he's affectionately known by.
I'm going to leave you with these names because I have not learnt these driver names, but I'm notorious for not really knowing driver names. If you watch CPGT, you'll understand I'll usually go by the paint job on the car.
And then we've got Chatra starting for Indonesia. We've got Quattro, another excellent racing driver name, starting for Philippines, and then Brad Packham, the V8 mechanic, starting for Australia. So he's used to being on the spanners at race meetings, but never actually behind the wheel, of course.
And there's no shock about working out where Brad's from with a name like that. I mean, that is not just a cliche. And they're off. Let's have a look as I head down to this first corner, and have they all made it through? As we look up to see them.
It's a solid start for North Africa.
All
Mexico.
in order. That was Mexico leading, but it looks like Australia's already made a place into the third corner. And yeah, that was an Australian position. I think we got on. Well, I'm not sure if that timing screen we've got in front of us is quite accurate there, because Australia apparently is in second position, but I don't think that's accurate.
That's just.
And there's a pass for the lead there round the outside of the loop. Or was that for a pass for the final positions? And we do have a slight timing glitch by the look of it on these
sort itself out as soon as they come around first lap.
As we get round to the timing loops.
So here we go. They're nearly 4 abreast down the straight into Stowe.
And that is for second position, 3 wide, but you could actually see that's a 4-way battle for the lead.
So we will get a bit of slipstreaming with these cars actually. So yeah, they're 2 abreast round Stowe for second.
And that's Australia. I saw the yellow flashes on that car. Australia really already
we
up
did expect
into
them to
that
come through
position.
the
But that's 4 places he's made on, or no, he's made 3 places off the line, and he's running at the back of that pack.
Oh, a bit of contact into the chicane there. I think that was Australia barging their way through.
Well, it worked.
It's unlike an Aussie to be rude.
Well, that's the way it is. All fair and love and racing. I don't
And
think
they
there's
come
any love
past
lost
us
there.
there. We've got Mexico from Thailand, from Australia. No, Mexico 4th.
Yeah, Mexico
So that
lost
must be
places.
North Africa
North
in the
Africa
lead.
has taken the lead by a second now from Thailand, Australia in 3rd, Mexico 4th, Indonesia is in 5th, and the Philippines are running at the back in 6th. And they're the guys who got bundled off there a little bit, I think.
Yeah, well, Mexico's had a shocker there on the start. So they've gone from pole position down to 4th, and North Africa have got a relatively decent gap with a second ahead of second place.
Now into the loop, they are all running line astern at the moment, but I don't think they're going to stay like that. The Mexicans are running quite close with the Australians, and the Australians look to have lost a little bit of time. Yeah, then Mexico's right on the tail of Australia as they head onto the Hangar Straight.
We do wonder if Australia did any damage barrelling into that chicane. They obviously barged Mexico out of the way, but has he knocked anything out of track? We've got a move for the lead. Thailand are looking very racy, so we've got Ning Nong, who is their, I think, their faster driver, although they are similar pace, so the team effort from Thailand could be a strong one.
And there is a move growing from Mexico, still right on the tail of Australia, looking for the right opportunity.
Oh, Australia's gone off!
And Australia's lost it, and so did so did Mexico. And that has opened the door for Indonesia in the red accented car to get onto the tail of them. And how close are they? Now Australia's got Indonesia all over the back of it, and the Philippines holding up the rear, but not by a lot. Not by a lot at all, actually.
Yeah, he's messed it up there. That's twice he's outbraked himself into that corner. You'd have thought he'd have learnt from the first time, but he's really overcooked it, and it's cost him.
All eyes on the east. It's Thailand in the number 2 car, and they are all over the back of North Africa, and that could get quite spicy at the front.
Yeah, North Africa, they've got a mixed team. They've got one driver that's particularly fast. So starting for them is Hassan, who isn't actually their quicker driver. So Wally is going out second for North Africa. He is the faster driver, but Thailand have got their quickest driver in right now. So that is showing at the minute, and they are putting some pressure on North Africa.
And it's going to be very interesting to see when they make their pit stops to get that, because if you've got the faster driver, of course, you're going to want the slower driver to make a shorter stint initially.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see that, especially with the pressure that's coming under North Africa. I can't imagine them boxing much after lap 4 or 5.
No, the car I'm quite interested in at the moment is Thailand in that blue accented car in second position, really driving quite maturely, sitting there, putting pressure on. If he's worked out how to flash the lights, I think he'd be flashing the lights away to try to just put North Africa off a little bit, because they are very close, and there is this nice battle brewing, because the number 1 car from Mexico has left the Australians on the defensive from Indonesia, and I think Indonesia is about to get Australia there as they go into the first corner. Thailand's being a little bit too circumspect in going forwards, because Mexico's getting right on the tail, and we know they're aggressive.
In qualifying, the tyres did go around very slowly, because it wasn't qualifying for the grid, of course, to protect their tyres. There was a strategy there to keep the tyres fresh.
Oh, someone's way off there. I didn't see who that was. Someone's off almost to the gravel at Village. And I didn't notice who that was, but I saw a car disappearing off into the
he's
distance.
gone over the sausage curb there. I think that was Mexico, and if he'd be lucky if that car survives that. That was a fair impact.
And there's a pass now. Thailand is... No, I don't think it can be Mexico, because Thailand is being passed by somebody down the Hangar Straight. Australia. Now, how did Australia get onto the tail of Thailand? Well, there's clearly been some movement in the field.
Two abreast round
That's Stowe there.
Stowe circuit for second place.
And we'll see who comes out first. Now, I have no idea what happened. They're still side by side into Vale. Now, let's see if they can both get through here together. And they both go off. That's an interesting racing line. We said track limits weren't really being enforced here, and they certainly are. Now, here they come.
So it is North Africa still in the lead from Thailand, from Mexico, but I'll be surprised if Mexico's car goes.
There's
on much
Indonesia
further.
in
We've
fourth.
lost Australia.
Australia's in the pits and has damage. There's damage on the North African car, I noticed as well on the right hand side.
There's been a bit of contact for sure.
That is bad news for Australia. Now, are they going to? Is this in for their pit stop or in with damage?
How many laps have they done?
This is the 4th lap, I believe, so they are able to make the pit stop on this lap.
On the end of the 4th lap, so that is lap. If they're on the 4th lap, they're fine.
Well,
So that could be a strategic move, that one.
3rd position, Mexico, in the number 1 car, fastest lap of this race, a 1:18.9. That's 2 seconds a lap nearly faster than anybody else on the track, so really worth watching that 3rd position car. And I think on the hanger straight now, as the cars come back towards us in the pit complex, we are already seeing the beginnings of a move from the Mexican team.
Side by side around Stowe now for 2nd place. That could be Mexico getting 2nd place done.
And we'll see if he makes it stick, because as you come out of Stowe, there
I
is,
don't think he
of course,
has.
no. Now let's have a look. Australia is in the pits.
Someone's Indonesia pitting as well.
No, yeah, but is that a standard pit stop for Australia?
Well, they do have to wait a minute, so that would be normal.
It does look like it.
Yeah.
That's their driver change, yeah.
There's no mechanics around the car, so...
Well, North Africa leads, and that is Thailand 2nd. Mexico still hanging on there in 3rd. Didn't get the move done on Thailand.
So Indonesia boxing now.
And that could be a good move for them, because it was getting a bit frantic up at the front. And we're looking around. I'm looking around at some of the old graduates from GT Academy. Jan Mardenborough there. Very interested in the pit stops. Calling out the strategy. Now, as we look, Indonesia's driver change. Let's see
North
how smooth it
Africa
goes.
is really checked out at the front now. They have a decent gap.
They have got see. This is the inconsistency. If you look at Mexico, it's a very inconsistent lap time. Fastest lap of the race, 1:18.9, and the fastest lap North Africa have done so far was their lap last time past the stripe, a 1:19.4. But Mexico goes from a really quick lap to a 1:20.2. It seems to hold itself up.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was them that had that off and over the sausage curb, so they must be pushing the limits, and that would explain the inconsistency.
Yeah, and it's not a good way. Inconsistency is not what you're looking for. If somebody else came into the pits, they'll come past us in a minute, and it is a pit stop cycle. So a lot of guys choosing to pit quite early.
Well, I think they've identified which are their quicker drivers and which are their slower drivers, and they're going to run their slower drivers for as least time as possible. That's for sure.
And that's Mexico in fact, in the number 1 car.
I think that's a good move for them actually. So next out for Mexico is Johnny, who is their fastest driver. He's been consistent throughout the competition, consistently quick. He's a student from Mexico, and we could see a bit of progression up the field now. I think Enrique had seen the red mist a little bit there, and he was making a few mistakes.
Well, the way it looks to me on the signs at the moment is that North Africa is, as you say, is checking out, but really good lap time. So I think they're going to leave that guy out there for the majority of the race, unless the other guy's even quicker. But he seems to be doing a great job.
On form, he is Wally, who will be out 2nd, is the quicker driver. But
he is making time on the entire field right now. Australia struggling around the back now with their 2nd driver. Last lap by 1:22.4, so certainly Australia not finding the pace. Wonder if there is damage on that car.
Was that the pit-in lap? Could have been the pit-in lap, that one.
It seems that Australia, let's have a look.
I'll see him next time out.
Past
I think
the
will be
stripe. He's in sector 1 at the moment. And we'll find out where he is. The pit stop's going on. And so the field's a bit spread out. Only 6 cars on quite a big track. It means the field does get spread out when the pit stops are going on, but be assured that when everybody's made their stops, they're all going to be back in a big lump. But North Africa really has gone away from Thailand, and Thailand really needs to make some action to get onto the back of that North African car. The number 6 car from the Philippines is now up to 3rd position. It's been running last, but yeah, look at the Indonesian car and the Australian car are absolutely together, and that's what we expect to happen when the other pit stops have taken place. And going out onto the...
So it'll be interesting to see where Mexico get themselves to over the next couple of laps, because with their 2nd driver, their quicker driver, I really think that they could start work their way up the field. So we've got Johnny in the car now for Mexico, so it'd be interesting to see his first lap time.
Now, Indonesia, as we say, Indonesia and Australia are the last two on the track at the moment, very close to each other, but they've made their stops, and the first three haven't, so it's all going to filter back together. And I think you saw something there, Lawrence.
Yeah, there was a pass going down through the link onto the hangar straight, and Australia now are all over the back. It's Australia vs Indonesia, and Australia trying to go round the outside into Stowe. We'll see if that works for them.
If it's Australia versus Indonesia, it means Indonesia's got past Australia somewhere on that lap as well. So they are having a mighty ding-dong into Stowe. And also running closely at Vale, I just spotted, I think it's Thailand and the Philippines running in close.
So North
company.
Africa just passed the line now.
There's
Good
Thailand
gap
in second.
back to Thailand.
Huge gap back now
And
to
then
Mexico.
A lap behind, I'd say, Mexico, because others haven't boxed. And I think car 6 is out of position as well, because I don't think that has boxed yet.
And Indonesia is still in front of Australia. Still waiting for pit stops now from North Africa, who are way off in the lead. 5-second lead over the field, which is a lot in identical cars, and extending that lead currently. Thailand in second position, and the Philippines in third. They've all yet to stop, so we're expecting pit stops from them, well,
Australia put in
very
their fastest lap of the race, 1:20.5. So already they're.
that's still not fast enough, though, is it?
It's not fast enough,
not
but
fast enough.
You know, but it's his first flying lap. To be fair to him, so Chris, Chris is putting in a better stint than Brad was. So Brad, yeah, he did go backwards quite quickly, which is unfortunate.
Brad is a good Australian name, though.
Oh yeah, mate.
Oh, the Australian. He's putting his red rag, the red rag of Indonesia, just sitting in front of him. Is he getting a toe
It's
down
not going to help him.
hanger straight?
It's not going to. Well, it might help him with a toe, but they do seem to be tripping each other up a little bit. Hopefully, they can tow each other along and bring them up towards the pack.
Now the
so
orange.
one more in the pits, I think.
Two more in the pits. We've got the blue flag, the blue board of Thailand, and the orange flag of the Philippines, waiting for their driver changes, but still no sign of North Africa.
Okay, yeah, Thailand are in.
That moves Mexico into second position on the road.
And the Philippines are in as well, so that would be Mexico into second, I would believe. Depending on how quickly, of course, Thailand can get back out.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see how their pit stop goes.
So Thailand make their pit marks. There is the Philippines. I expect we'll see North Africa any moment as well next time by.
Although he's doing a good job, isn't he?
He is, and I don't see the pit board waiting for him. All going to plan down in the Thai pit. Slightly more pedestrian, I think, in the Indonesian pit, though.
They are taking their time. I mean, they do have a minute, so they do have plenty of time to do it. So
You think it is a minute, but if you think in your road car when you're at home, get in and out of the car in a minute isn't actually that
and
straightforward.
You've got easier belts at home as well, haven't you? You've got multi-point belts on these ones.
Exactly.
And radios to plug in and plug out. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we've got a pass going down into Stowe. I think that is Australians again versus
that must be Australia and Indonesia at it.
Battle
Yeah.
ongoing.
The Australians do need to get past the Indonesians if they have got that pace, because
I think he might have done it this time. Let's have a look.
it'd be interesting because the Indonesians have been running faster laps than the Australians.
He has. He's got by. So let's see if he can gap the Indonesians now and get anywhere close to Mexico.
And I think, depending on, it's exactly as I thought, the Thais and the Philippines run out of the pits at exactly the same time, and they're all going to come out in a big bunch, I think.
Mexico's going to do them.
Now, Australia and Indonesia's right on the tail of Australia to come past the pits, but they are going to get traffic coming out the pit lane, I think. Now, keeping an eye out, now there's the pit exit for Thailand, and there goes Australia and Indonesia. They both get out in front of the Philippines.
Thailand's had a shocker.
Yeah, well, no, Thailand's still in second.
I
think they held second because
so?
I think Philippines dropped the
I
position.
think Mexico might have.
Australia is right. Indonesia's right on the tail of Indonesia still, and we're looking across to see how that's all.
Hang straight, and then it is just
Australia, then Indonesia, and then it is
Thailand. So Mexico have jumped Thailand. There's Mexico into second.
Have they?
Yeah, pretty sure of that.
I thought that was Thailand, but we did see a fastest lap of the race from Mexico just presently on those pit stops. We're waiting it all to shuffle out. But we still haven't had that pit stop from North Africa. And they don't have much time left to do it. Lap 11, they're on now, so they really have to stop.
So here we go. Mexico's coming round. They are ahead.
Yeah, they're a long way ahead now, Mexico, aren't they? That's what
Yeah,
I'd
they
look
are
for.
ahead
There's
of
Thailand.
Yeah, and then
There's
Indonesia,
Indonesia,
and
who've got
now
back past Australia on that last lap.
So that was some stellar driving from Mexico.
And the
pulling them
Philippines
up
are
to
now
a second.
hunting them down. Now this now seems to be, to me, a battle between Mexico and North Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
North Africa is a long way ahead
They
at the
better not miss that
moment.
pit window, so they've got to pit this lap.
They have to pit this. Is it the end of lap 12 or the end of lap 11?
End of lap 12.
So I think it's still, if lap 11's on the board, then it is lap 12 now. So they have to be in next time by. Do you reckon
It's
they're
a
counting it
strange
right?
strategy because, as I say, Wally is the quicker driver, so
But
they're obviously happy with what he was doing.
He was doing a very good lap times and working very well in competition. Now he's down to a 1:20.2, so maybe getting a bit tired or tired out.
Yeah.
The tyres.
The tyres are
Yeah.
tired. So
But
here we
there's
go
a big
down.
bunch.
Australia and Indonesia all over Thailand, and it's going to be 3 abreast into Stowe, I think.
Are they all going to make it round, I wonder?
Here we go, let's see. It
And
is
they're
3
right.
abreast. Oh, and Australia have come out ahead, I think.
Thailand trying to take the inside line and everybody
Yeah.
else going around the outside. by the
Australia
look
have
of
done
it.
them around the
And
outside.
that pit hooter you hear in the background, that must be for North Africa.
Here we
There
are,
it is.
here
The
we
race
are.
leader is in. Now,
So-
this is going to be critical. If this pit stop goes to plan, which it should do, no one else has had any troubles. Now, Mexico's
So they've
gone
got a
past the
lap,
pits.
so he's got a lap.
So
So
he-
they've got 1 minute and 20 seconds to get back out. So
And a
we
1
know
minute
it's a
pit
minimum pit stop.
And what
It's
is the
gonna be
pit?
close.
What is the pit lane loss? Now Australia has got back in front of Indonesia,
I-
and Thailand's fallen to the third in that little pack.
I think Mexico might have done it,
That would make one very happy Ricardo Sanchez, though I bet he doesn't look it at the moment. He's always so.
It's too cool for school.
Yeah, he really is. He's just intense, isn't he? You know, you've worked for him
Yeah,
for long enough. Scared of cats though.
Well, we all have our faults.
And there's some more passing in that midfield battle through village. I just saw Thailand, Australia, Indonesia still having their own personal battle there. Great
I think
racing.
Australia have left it too late though, don't you?
I think by having all of this scrapping with 8.9 seconds back to Mexico, they're not going to get 8.9 seconds
We're
back in
2
this
abreast
race.
now. Who's this?
That's the same
Thailand
team.
and Indonesia again?
I think
is
it's
Australia
Thailand,
and
Australia, actually. They've all been swapping around amongst themselves. Seems to be taking a very long time for North Africa in the pits. Maybe it doesn't.
It's
A minute
slow,
seems
looks
like
a bit,
a
there
lot.
looks
Yeah.
a bit of panic going on down there.
Now, is the board going to go straight up? That's the sign it's a delay. Yes, it is.
Yes,
Oh,
okay, so
yes.
they're released. And here
There's
comes
Mexico.
They are
Ooh.
going to come out neck and neck.
This is going to be good, and all eyes now on the pit exit, as I think I just saw Indonesia go off the track with Australia and Thailand all in close pursuit of each
Here
other.
they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in a train.
Oh no, it's the Philippines.
Indonesia's checked out.
Yeah, it's the Philippines are on the tail of them.
Well,
That's
where
who's
are they?
joined
Where
the
are our
fight.
leaders?
Now we're looking side by side into village.
Oh!
It is a neck and neck for the race lead at the moment. Now, who is going to be more aggressive between the Mexicans and the North Africans? That
Great
is
one,
going
I
to
think.
be.
Yeah, it's, there could be fireworks.
I think there will be.
Australia
fireworks.
could get it yet.
Both of them have spicy food in their home nations, and it's going to be a spicy battle on track. And we'll see
Here we
what
go.
the
So
is
Mexico have got it, I think. Mexico are in the lead.
for now.
So yeah, Wally, who's in the car for North Africa now, is, as I say, their quicker driver. So
You do lose a bit of tyre temperature when you make a minute-long pit stop, so it's going to have
and
a
it
little
takes a
bit of
while to
effect
get
on the
back
car,
into
yeah.
the groove. You know, these are novice drivers. Let's not forget they're not going to be straight up to speed on the first lap out.
But this is a tight battle for the lead as they head into the Vale. All eyes on that right now. So as long as these two keep it going. But we have seen when it's looked like this in Abu Dhabi and places like that in the past, when it looks very much a two-way battle, somebody else gets in the mix at the last minute. North Africa is beginning to lose contact a little bit, I think.
That's a second gap now, I think, or just over.
Yeah.
1.7 difference between the leader and second place.
But a fastest second sector of anybody for Indonesia, who seem to be coming on strong. But they were
That driver was quickest in all of the track sessions today, actually.
Well, they were 8.4 seconds behind last time past the stripe. It's now 7.8.
So that's
Indonesia is beginning to close the gap, but is there enough race left? They need more than a second a lap to do
Well, it
this.
needs a bit of a tangle, doesn't it, between North Africa and Mexico for Indonesia to come into play. And in the Indonesian car is Radica, otherwise known as Tito, and he has been the fastest out of everyone in these 370s all day today. So, be interesting to see if he can bring it back, but there's not many laps to do it.
They really aren't. There's a giant fly at Stowe.
Evacuate!
attack of the 6-foot insects, but there is a big gap now as looking through Stowe.
Gap, isn't it?
Yeah, it is looking like Mexico is the second driver in the car.
So, second driver in the car for Mexico is Johnny.
Is that the fastest taxi driver in Mexico City?
No, that's Enrique.
Ah, okay.
Who I think might be needing to have a taxi called for him after his initial performance.
Well, there is a battle going through Vale, that ongoing battle.
Yeah, so
between
Johnny's gapping him.
He is.
North Africa are falling away from him.
Indonesia
catching
is
up.
beginning to hunt them down. Look at
Purple
the gap.
sector.
Yeah,
Purple
purple
gap.
sector. 1.8. It's not a sector. That's fastest lap. 1:18.7. That gap to the lead is now down to 6.7. Could he do this?
He needs more laps, doesn't he? How many have we got?
That was lap 14.
Yeah.
And it's not done yet. When you come with that sort of momentum, you can actually catch and pass much quicker than if you get into
2 seconds on him that lap, basically.
Yeah,
2 seconds
huge.
on Mexico.
That is huge, and Mexico might need just to get a little hurry up.
Yeah.
No radios in this cars, are there either?
Well, there are actually.
Oh,
yeah,
there
they
are.
do. Yeah, they do have communication.
So
their
Ricardo
mentors-
Sanchez will be on the radio saying, "Hurry up!"
Yeah, he'll be saying some choice words to them, I think.
in Mexican. Well, Spanish, isn't it? Yeah, the North African team, they also will need to get the hurry up. Still going well. I mean, the last time by the
If he
strike,
carries on that 2 seconds of lap difference,
Yeah.
he will be past North Africa and on Mexico.
and it is a full 2 seconds difference, so he's really going to be on them. 4.1 seconds to catch North Africa, so you won't do it next time past the strike. But this sort of lap times could see a bit of an upset with the Indonesian coming.
Impressive. It's I don't think before today, I don't think many people had their money on Indonesia, but this is an impressive stint by Tito.
3 right into Vale, and there's contact, and round goes
Australia.
Yeah, well, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? They've been trying to do that for a while.
Damage.
Yeah, and if there's damage to one, there's probably damage to another. It looks like Australia has stalled out there.
They've got going again.
Maybe just lost the engine when he spun. And we'll see if there's no big damage on the front of the Philippines. That tells the story, doesn't it? Australia limping back. We've seen that already this week. Damage for Australia. And that really is the Australians out of the contention for this race. Now, I can see the checkered flag being readied. Now, it's not readied for this time past the stripe, I don't think. It shouldn't be, should it? No, the checkered flag is definitely being readied. And this looks like it should be the race coming to its conclusion. Have they got the right lap? It's a timed race, I've just been informed, not a lap race. So it does look like it's coming up to that point. Now there is Australia limping
crabbing in down the pit lane.
Big damage to that car for Australia, but I'm looking at the finish line. The checkered flag is being readied, and I think that is going to be Mexico. More good laps coming from Indonesia, but as you say, there's just not enough time.
Yeah.
And the checkered flag is waving, and that is a victory for Mexico in the 2016 GT Academy. North Africa is second, but not far behind them is Indonesia in the number 7 car. Now that was an impressive drive.
They didn't gain anything on that last lap though, so I think even with a few more laps they probably wouldn't have done it. Impressive performance by Mexico.
Thailand come home 4th, and with damage on the car, it's the Philippines who've completely redesigned the front end of that car, and Australia, well, they're going to finish a lap down in the pit lane with
Haven't
damage.
had much luck, the Australians, this year, have they?
No, they really haven't, and that's a real shame. But that's going to be a very happy Ricardo Sanchez. And now do you guys have the difficult problem of 2 guys in the Mexico car, and one of them has to be selected as a winner, don't they?
Well, I think actually all are still up for consideration. Any of the drivers are still up for consideration. So the race, as always with GT Academy, the race is a big influencer on the decision, but not the be-all or end-all, because things can happen, as we've seen, that can be unfair. So we do take everything into consideration. So now all the mentors will sit down with the instructors. They'll look at all the data from across all of the activities that have been done right from the beginning until now. And one of the things we'll be looking for is the rate of progression. It's all well and good being quick on day one, but really what we're after is someone that is learning and is progressing.